Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game in Frame Cosmopolitan League Spring Season Preview. I'm delighted to be joined by Charles von Rosenberg from Williamsburg International, the Williamsburg International that is celebrating about 10 years in existence. Charles, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh. It's good to talk with you.
So since you are about to celebrate your 10-year anniversary, we've got to start on the history of Williamsburg. Tell me about where did this what's become now a big Brooklyn club, where did it all begin?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, like a lot of people who've played soccer in New York, our club started with being free agents on an 8v8 or 7v7 weeknight team. So, we came together. It was a group of guys that really got along and came to know each other over the course of a season. And then that turned into another season. And then slowly that core started to really form into something. And then over the years, we kind of got more involved in New York soccer and we learned about the Cosmo League. We ended up forming an 11s team. And then that's kind of snowballed and turned into what we have now, which is a D2 first team, a D2 reserves team, and a third team in the fourth division of the Cosmo League. I think the sort of guiding philosophy and what really like put us together as a team and really kept us together was just an experience in New York of playing with too many people who were sort of too intense or overly aggressive about their soccer in New York City. We had one guy on our team, his sort of thing that he'd yell out in the middle of a game was, we've all got to work tomorrow. And I think that's a good philosophy of like, hey, we're playing soccer in New York City and we want to win and all that. But like, at the end of the day, we're all going to work tomorrow. Like we're not professionals out here. We don't really want to get hurt. We want to have fun doing it. And we want to have that sort of philosophy towards our playing.
So when you started in the Cosmopolitan League, what division did you start in and what was the journey to get up to the second division for the first team?
Yeah, I mean, we started at the bottom. Honestly, when we started in the Cosmo League, we really weren't sure what to expect. So we didn't have, I don't think we had anybody that had played in the Cosmo League before. And to be honest, we had players who really hadn't played soccer before. So it was pretty ragtag to begin with. And we started in the bottom of the league. We had a fun first season. Our first game, we had this sort of, we went down 3 goals in the beginning of the first, or in the first half, and then second half managed to come back and we had a sort of back and forth 5-4 win. And I feel like that was very sort of how the first whole season went. So, we had some downs, we had some ups. It finished strong. But yeah, sort of up and down. And then over, I think the course of like 3 or 4 years, a really pretty solid core started to form of the team that has become the first team over the years. And that core just had pretty amazing attacking talent. So we were lucky enough to find some players that really knew how to score goals, and that helped us out in winning games. And so that team in 2015-16 won the Metro 2 division. And then so we were promoted up to Metro 2 is the equivalent of Division 4 now. So from Division 4 up to Division 3. And then that team the next year won Division 3, and that got us promoted up to Division 2. So that was sort of our journey from Division 4 to Division 2. And since then, I think the highest we've finished in Division 2 is 4th. And this year, we're probably more involved in a relegation battle than we are a fight for the top. So, I think, to be fair, I just don't know if at this point our club philosophy fits fighting for Division 1. I'm not sure that's where we want to be as a club. Competing in Division 2 right now is where we do want to be. So I think, we have the quality of players and the sort of quality of team that can do that. But yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. But it kind of depends on the players that you have and how much they want to put into it.
So as you said, Division 2 right now, you're more in the relegation battle. It hasn't gone quite as you guys wanted. You have had some good results in there. Let's start on the positives, like in terms of what was the high for your first team in this full season.
I mean, funny enough, the high was probably the draw 3-3 draw with New York International. So they're a team that's come into Division Two, and they're just really flying. I mean, a team that's clearly got everything together. They're well coached. They've got a lot of good players, and in a lot of ways, sort of the same Williamsburg International, New York International. It feels a little bit like we've got a similar philosophy going on. So that was a game that I felt was important for us, and I think coming into it, even though we were the more established D2 club, I think we felt sort of like the underdog in that game. So to pull off a draw against them felt pretty good. And it was a pretty exciting game. Also, a lot of back and forth. We had a goalkeeper who broke his finger in the game. So we ended up having a reserve forward from the reserve team playing goalie for most of that game. But yeah, lots of drama, lots of excitement. So
would you describe, because you mentioned you both got the international at the end of your name. Also, I know that both teams have a decent number of Englishmen as well in there. Would you say there's some kind of rivalry there as well? Obviously, without trying to kill each other, but is there some sort of rivalry already there?
Yeah, of course, totally. We know some of the guys. I think some of the guys that are running the club either have come out to sort of training tryout sessions for Williamsburg. A couple of the guys played on the roster for a season, or I think one season. So we're familiar with them. I think I would say it's more of like a friendly rivalry at this point. I don't think we're out to kill each other or anything. So maybe not as tense as those sort of nationalistic battles where there's a lot more history there.
The Battle of the Balkans that we sometimes have seen. Yeah, those are scary to even live stream, honestly. But
yeah, but it's fun. I mean, honestly, it feels good to see another team with a similar philosophy of trying to incorporate a more international group in the league. So I think they seem like they're having a great time. They're doing it right. So I love to see it. And then when we get out on the field, of course, I want to beat them. A draw was great, but we'll see in the spring. We'll be looking to get a win next time.
And so, yeah, that actually leads nicely to my next question. Into spring season, is there one game for your first that you think they're most looking forward to? One team they really want to sink their teeth into?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily one at the top of the list. I think, knowing our position in the table, I think we have to focus on the important matches. So there's a couple of teams that we have to beat if we want to stay up in D2. So that match against SC Eintracht is going to be big. Desportiva, who kind of creamed us in the fall, I think we'd like another shot at them. We're even on points in the table with them. So I feel like a better performance against them would be important. And even a team like Block FC, we'd like to sort of, we feel like we can compete with them. And a win against some of those sides would really do a lot to see us more in the middle of the table than the bottom of the table.
Those are going to be the 6 pointers. I hope you guys will bring us into live stream one or two of these relegation battles, because as we know from watching Premier League and stuff, those are the best drama, even though they're kind of very painful for the teams involved.
But that's why they're so good to watch.
Yeah, 100%. And besides the first team, your reserves team, we streamed them in a really exciting match against Japan. It's been a bit more of a mixed season for the reserves. Won, lost, never draw. How would you kind of feel like the reserve season has gone? Has it kind of gone about how you expected? A little bit above, a little bit below?
Yeah, I mean, that reserves team, when I talked about sort of the history of the club in terms of that core forming and really having that group that came together, the same sort of dynamic happened for the reserves, right? They had to kind of build from scratch once we started that second team, and grow into what they are now. So right before the pandemic, I mean, I think it's the match before the pandemic started, we had a huge win against a top of the table Manhattan Kickers reserve that really had us in good position for the spring ahead. And then, pandemic happened, and honestly, like, entire teams changed, right? Like, you have people move away, people started doing different things. And so that was an unfortunate sort of killing the momentum for the reserves team at that time. But I do think, they expect to compete at the top of the table in the reserves league. So I feel like they've had about 4 1-goal losses And I think that's been really disappointing for them. So I know that they're going to want to turn those around in the spring. And they're going to be looking to compete with everybody.
And then your third team that's just been formed this year, right?
Yeah, that's a brand new squad. So, and I think it's probably 75% players that are brand new to the club as well.
So obviously that's a huge achievement for you guys just in and of itself, that, 10 years in, you've now sustaining 3 sides, which is, very, very difficult because you've got to have a lot of, extras to have the turnout. That we saw a very exciting thirds game against Desportiva. Yeah, just end to end. I think it was about 5-3 or something like that. What is the objectives for the thirds? They're in Division 4 right now. Are they looking to to get promoted this season, or is it kind of this is a building year and then maybe try and launch it the year after? Or
I think realistically for the third team, this is a building year. So we started off this season, and I think we had three consecutive losses: 3-0, 6-0, and then 2-0. The 2-0 loss, I will say, everybody on the squad felt really good about. I think we didn't give up a goal until about the 70th, 80th minute, and it felt like the kind of game where we really put in a good performance and could build on it. And I think since then we have 4 wins, 1 loss, and a draw, or something around those lines. So the team is really kind of gelling and has had some good results against teams. We drew Falco FC at the top of the table, and we had a couple of good wins sprinkled in there. So I think that team is feeling good. It's feeling like people are becoming more familiar with each other. It always takes time to learn like which way a guy's going to run or which way you need to pass the ball, and how people move in a game and all of that. So I think we're learning that, and the more that team gels, the more fun it's going to be. So I will say with the third team, it's been just really fun to have that group gel in the way that it has. And it's really sort of melded with the whole overall philosophy of Williamsburg International, which I think is putting fun first and putting wins second, which I don't think every Cosmo League club views it that way. And that's an important thing for us, right? Like, we're out there to have fun, and if we get some wins along the way, that's great.
So on this topic of philosophy being fun, I think it's fair to say that your team probably has some of the best banter in terms of I look at your Instagram page, right? It's really funny, like your tribute to your goalkeeper Hags. When he left, I think it's something along the lines of he did what he loved doing best on a Sunday afternoon, skipping 8 goals out in his pajamas. Do you feel like Williamsburg has the best banter in the Cosmopolitan League structure? How many, where would you be sitting in the D2 table if it was just based upon banter and not necessarily football?
Yeah, I think we have the best banter in at least D2, if not the entire Cosmo League. I have to give all the credit to the Instagram to Rich Butterworth, who runs that and does a fabulous job. He's just got a great sense of humor and a great way of kind of involving everybody, poking fun where it's appropriate, and making everybody feel involved. So and that carries down into the club as well. So it's a club that you have people connecting across the different teams from third team to first team. And it's a really fun thing to be a part of.
And I have seen it once or twice on Instagram stories, maybe post, some what looks like particularly let's say outlandish team outings. Is there any particular one that you're willing to share? A really great story. This may be a good advertisement for other people who want to join Williamsburg, and they want some of that banter. What is a good outing you guys have had? It's had some good memories.
I mean, we've had all sorts of fun outings with the club. We did a great outing up to a tournament in Ithaca, New York. So it's called the Gorgeous Classic, and it's run by a guy up there. I think the Cornell club teams participate. The Fordham club team was up there, and then some other teams from around town and from out of town. But we decided to make a summer trip of it and get up to Ithaca, and that was a real blast. The team, we all rented a house together, played in the tournament together, and then ended up in downtown Ithaca having a great time. So I won't get into too many of the details of that, but it was quite fun. I'm thinking, around New York, we did an outing to the racetrack for is it the Belmont Stakes? Now I forget. I think it's
in Long Island. Where is that?
Yeah, it's the Belmont Stakes in Long Island. So we did a team trip out to that, which was fun. Everybody gets dressed up and starts trying to bet on horse races and everything. But that was quite a fun time as well.
Was anyone successful in their horse betting?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, some of the guys clearly knew what they were doing, and I mean, most of the guys clearly didn't. But you definitely had one or two that were just like, "Oh yeah, no, this is how you bet on horses." So yeah, some guys were successful. Actually, the guy who was most successful did not know what he was doing and randomly placed a bet on the main race and won. So that was great. I was standing right next to him when it happened. That was fun.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, as club president, is there one player this season for any of the teams, first, reserve, thirds, who has really brought a smile to your face with their excellence on the field or just general contribution to kind of the Williamsburg philosophy or ethos?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing on the third team, so I've seen most of that. And I think, the two players that really have brought a spark to that team are Sharik Rizvi and Michael Pierre. They're playing on the wings, and they're both just fun players to watch, right? They bring speed, technical skill, goals, and beyond that, they bring a really great attitude on the field. So they're always trying to build up their teammates. They're always trying to sort of put a positive energy in there. I think we had a cup game out in Long Island, and we ran into a very good Ronkonkoma team. So they used to be the Long Island Fusion second team, but they're very good. And it was one of those games where we got run over by a team that was had just good quality on the field. And at halftime, I was kind of thinking people were going to be down on it. But we had a really positive talk, went out there. It was 3-0 at halftime, and we scored a goal to kind of put them on their heels in the beginning of the second half. And I think that was Sharik to Maiko. So that was nice to see. We ended up losing. We kind of ran out of gas towards the end of the game, but seeing that kind of fight and that positive energy at halftime was really important to me. In terms of sort of other players on the club, I think one player this season, Gerald Vandenberg, he's our treasurer. He's played on the club for a long time. He hit his 100th game or 100th appearance with WIFC this season, but he's played, on first team, on the reserves team, on the third team, kind of wherever he's needed. He's contributed, and it's been fun to see him and get to play a couple games with him. But I think just seeing him sort of participate across the club has been really fun.
Nice. And I've got two more questions. My first one, I've asked every manager this that I've talked to. In your gut, where is Williamsburg's first team going to finish in the table? Are they gonna survive, or are they going to plunge to Division 3?
That's tough. That's a tough question. In my gut, I don't think we're going to get relegated. I think we finish at least third from the bottom, if not higher. But yeah, I think we had a pretty disjointed fall, and I think we're going to have more consistency in the spring. And I think through that, we're going to see results.
Nice. And as I lied, I've got one more question before the last one. Is there any transfer activity for Williamsburg International this winter break? Any new signings coming in?
Of course, yeah. We've had sessions at McCarran Park in January and February during the week, and we've had a lot of great players coming out. So, hopefully we'll have a couple of them signed for across all three teams. So, I think depending on the team, if we've had sort of solid turnout, we're not going to have that many sort of transfers in. But for the first team where we've had it's been a little bit more disjointed. We haven't had a consistent group coming out. I think those transfers could be really important. So yeah, we hope to have some new players coming out in the spring.
Nice. And lastly, I wanted to go back to, the fact that you're celebrating 10 years as a club. It's an incredible achievement. Obviously, you guys are going in a really good direction. You've now got 3 established teams. As you mentioned, you're really pleased with how your philosophy of keeping it fun as well as competing, how that's still permeating through the club, even as it's grown. So where would you like to see Williamsburg in another 10 years? Where would you like the club to be in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I mean, I'd want it to be, I'd love to see Williamsburg in the Cosmo League in 10 years. We've seen, even now over 10 years, we've seen clubs come and go. I think at this point, we're sort of feeling our age a little bit, right? Where you come in, you build up a core and you start winning games. But then what happens when that core sort of moves on and you have to develop that again? And what happens when you're sort of no longer sort of the new idea of a club, right? So you become just sort of, you're another Division II Cosmo League club, and you're one of many options to people who are looking for a club. So how do you kind of define yourself and make yourself different? So I would love to see us as a Cosmo League team in 10 years to know that we could kind of sustain ourselves through that. I think for me, it would be important that club would still have the philosophy of, providing an option to play soccer at the highest level that you can, right? So, or that you have the ability to. And to me, that means supporting a Division IV option. If that's what we want to have available, it means supporting a Division II option if we have players that want to reach that high. If we have players that want to reach higher, then great, let's try and get up to Division I. It also means supporting, we have 3 weeknight men's teams. We have a weeknight co-ed team. So it means supporting that whole community of soccer in Williamsburg and throughout the city. So that's where I'd like to see it. Just kind of continuing to have that philosophy. I'd love to see us still be a part of the Cosmo League. Yeah.
Well, awesome, Charles. It was great talking. Congratulations on the 10 years. It was great getting to watch all your teams as well in full season. Hope we can see a couple in spring as well, especially that relegation battle. The ratings will go through the roof, I promise you.
People will want to see what happens for sure. Yeah, definitely. Nice talking with you, Josh, and thanks for having me.